Hello, thank you for joining us for this month's Smile Create Repeat demonstration video. My name is Tony Luongo and I'll be taking you through this illustration using some supplies from the August 2017 surprise. Alright, so we have our watercolor paper here, watercolor palette, and pencils. So what I'm going to do, and before you get started, if you're going to follow along, you'll need to probably grab a paper towel, a little jar of water or something for mixing, and fill your spray bottle with water so you're ready to go. And you probably want to spray your paints just so they get ready to go. And you can let that sit there a little bit. Okay. Alright, let's see. And I'm going to just put a little frame around the paper again. You've seen me do that before in another video. Ooh, that's a wobbly line, but I'll fix it as I paint. I'm just doing a sketch of this month's supplies. Oh yeah, I'm going over. Okay. And I'm using a pencil that I have. I'm not using the pencil. It's the same pencil. It's a pencil I got in a different box. Alright, let's see. And this one is skinnier. That lining them up, and it does. We can see it's a U S A right there. So I'll add that in. Now this brush, take the little plastic off. Yeah. Okay. And this gets wider right there, and it does taper down a little bit. Okay, and that has Well, let's see, so if we line this pencil up with the brush, the 4 is after the T, so we'll put it right there. Okay. And we got the palette, the paints, so I'm going to put those, and I'm going to take my pencil, because I have the tip to the bullet, right? And how big? So the palette, the watercolors, are a little bigger than that, just so I have the scale, so I know on my drawing it's this big, so it's going to be, well, it's going to take up this whole area. So how do I want to, I need to add the paper in too, so we'll put that, I don't want it to go there, so okay. Oh, what's that from? Got some other paint. Oh, must have stuck my finger in the paint. Alright, let's see if I can show you how to clean. See if that works. So I got a little water on my paper towel, and I'm first going to clean the table so it doesn't happen again. And then if you get a little water on there, dab it on, you should be able to lift some of it out. That doesn't all come out. That's too bad. So you want to make sure in your work area, you have a clean work area if you want your work to stay clean. So this is going to have a little stain on there. And let me just double check and make sure I don't have more on me. Oh yeah, this is what I'm doing here. And this is more of like if you're doing like a little travel sketchbook type drawing, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just to get the feel, and it's not because if you, obviously you do what you want, and like I've said before, there's certain parts of it that you'll enjoy more, so you'll spend more time working on that area. And here I'm going to squish this in a little bit because I want to get these other colors in there. And by the time when I get to painting, I might change what colors I put there. Just because of the composition, I might think it looks better having a different color in my painting. Alright, we'll add that has to come up a little bit. That rung there, or that, whatever it is, I don't know what it is. Alright. And now the paper will just probably have behind it, right here, and might have torn edges on the one piece there. And I don't have the third piece because I'm using it. So, but I'm going to put it in anyway, and maybe I'll have it come over this way a little bit so it comes behind these. So we're mixing the blue and the brown to make a black for the pen. So, and you can see that that makes it a little more interesting, the color. Because you have the variety instead of just the black from the tube or from the pan. That's an intense brown. These are great colors, great paints. So I put too much in there, so I'm just, and I gotta mix that a little bit more because I don't want it to really look blue or brown. Oops. And then okay, and now the core of the pencil, the two of them are about the same. So I'm just going to get a little water on over there, taking again the brown, and then a little bit of the yellow, a little more yellow, and that's a little too yellow, so I'm going to just put a pinch of the blue, which is too much now. So I'm going to put a bit more of the brown because the brown's kind of like a red, so that neutralizes it. So now I'm going in. And that is too intense. So I'm just going to dab it a little bit with my paper towel to bring some of the color, bring it down a little. My pencil's green. Oh, I need more water on my paints again. So I'm mixing a bunch of green. Not a bunch, just some green. But I don't think it's the green from... Try not to use the green or the colors right from your palette because those aren't going to be the colors. So it's not bright green like that, but maybe it's a little dulled down. So I just take a pinch of red, a little more green, and see if that dulls the green down just a bit. Maybe a little brown. And I'm using the brown as a dulling agent. I think that green is probably okay. And I just grabbed a little more water to make this flow a little better. And I'm trying to keep the white line, where the ridge of the pencil is, because this one's hexagonal. And I should be doing, let's put a little, to make this a little more, let's get a little water, make this a little, drop a little less there, a little softer edge there, because maybe that can be some of the shadow from there. And this one I'm going to probably mess up, because when I add water to this, it's going to make it look wacky. So you're going to see one of the nice things about watercolor are happy accidents, but so now I'm going back in there with more color because I need to go back in there with more color. Good thing I explained that the same way twice. Okay, now the brushes, oh, that was tough. Silver, and I'm using it. So if you look, this is real dark with some white, some lights. So I'm going to again use actually the mixture I did for the dark pencil with just a little bit more of that blue. And that blue is like a phthalo blue, so that is super strong. You do not need a lot of it. And I'm going to, as I'm painting, I'm going to try to look at try to see some highlights. And draw them in. Okay. And the silver, I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but probably the same color, just with lots of water. So it'll be very light, is my hope. Yep. And I am making them go out of the frame. Oh, see, I need more water there. That's way too dark. If you go in right away, add a little water to it, you can then remove some of the pigment with your paper towel. And then we'll go back, and then I'll just make that, I'll connect it, and then we'll go back in there later. I just rinsed my brush, I dried my brush, and now I'm taking it and I'm going to use it to soften this edge. So once that dries, I'm gonna go back in and add a little more dark right there to the brush part. And then we'll go back in and add the blue to the number 4. So let's get to the paper. So this paper on my desk is really like a cool white. The paper is a little warmer. So maybe I will work on the paints. Yeah, okay. So this I am actually just going to, need more water. Use this yellow. And I'm going, obviously this is the color that it is. So I'm just going to really use it as is and not really worry about it. But I am going to, because these are such nice pans, there's a highlight right there, and then these curved edges are a little darker. So I am going to try to make that happen by using a little bit of orange, and I'm going to mix this. And pinch of brown maybe, and a little more yellow, because I don't want it to be too dark a yellow, just a little bit, just a little different. And as I'm looking at it, it looks like it should probably have a little green, or yeah. Okay, so that's that. But now I'm taking a wet brush, blending them a little, but leaving a little bit of the highlights. And let's get a little bit of that around that edge. So we're on to the orange now. And this looks like it's going to be a very nice, and we're going to try to, whoa, yeah, look at that. I'm going to try to follow the same idea that I had before. So I got a little bit of orange on my mixing tray, a little bit of brown, way too much brown. So I rinse my brush off and I try again. Get a little more water. Alright, so I'm going to try this, a little water. If you add a little water, it'll be a little lighter, a little less pigment. That is a very intense orange. Very nice. And I already know because I've used these paints before. And that's also keeping some highlights. And while we're looking, I'll just put this here for you. You can look at it. There's a limited time offer we're doing in this month's video that if you check the notes section below, there'll be a special promo code for you to get this box, because we have a few extra. that we didn't ship to our subscribers. So if you want to, you can, and the link will be in the notes section below for as long as we still have some of those. So that's it. And then when we run out, we run out, and this part of the video you'll just have to skip over. Sorry. So I was going to try to paint while I'm doing it. So now here, we really don't have the shadow part, so I don't really need to worry about it. And then the blue part, all the blue, I'm just gonna paint the blue. So now I'm gonna let that dry and work somewhere else, so then I can go in and add a little bit of gray to some of these sides to create some depth, and I'm actually going to do that now. I'm going to make some more of my gray color, which is the blue and black, blue and brown, and let's see what we can do here. And this is probably way too intense, so let's test this. Way too much. So I need to add water to it because I just want it light. Way too much there. That's more like what we're trying to get. So I'm going to use this part as my mixing tray, this section here. And while that's wet, I'm going to go in and just get a pinch of blue. Ah, yuck. That's not what I wanted at all. A pinch of the gray, just so there'll be a little variety of color. So I just rinsed off my brush, dried it, and I'm going to try to pull out some of that color and move it around. And that's a big blast of color. And I'm just using that again. And let's get, I'm not going to add the shadow. I was just going to say let's add the shadow to that, but I'm not going to do that yet because I want to figure out what I'm going to do with this paper, with the color for the paper. So it's a little warmer, and it's funny because it's not warmer than the color of the paper. It is the paper. So we're going to do a very light, very pale. It's not yellow, but there is yellow in it. And so it's brown, a brownish yellow I'm going to do. Very light. So probably similar to the color of the wood showing in the pencil, just a very light version of that. So I have this test piece of paper here, and that might be all right to show what I'm trying to show, and I should have done this after. So I'm going to not be too careful, but I think that color is actually pretty good because it's going to show what we're trying to show. Trying to show that this is not white paper, and maybe it's now that was just water I just did, and that'll I don't need to go to the edge there, but I'm gonna that'll make it lighter just using water. Now I get more color, and whoa, and this will be nice because this I'm going to make it a little more intense right by the brush. because the brush is, when it was new, it was white. So I'm going to try to accentuate that, and I'm going to go over the shadows. And then just a little bit more. Yep. Actually, that's all right. Had a little more yellow in there than I wanted, but that works out all right. Add a little color. And now we're going to go in. Oh, and that dried there already, so let's go like that. So that shows the paper, a little variety of the color of the paper. And let's do the pencil tip. See, I was just about to make a mark there, but I think that's going to be too wet still. So let's do the shadow. And I'm going to add a little blue in the shadow for the pencil, the brush body. Okay, so I did that line. There's a sharp edge on the bottom and the top. I just got some water now, and I'm just going to run it over the top. Dry my brush, rinse it, dry it again, and see if I can soften that even more. See, there you go. Nice soft transition there. It looks like I have to go in and define the edge, and maybe not all the way on the other pencil. So maybe I go in and just add some intense color. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to that, because this is a black, that's a black pencil, so that can be dark. And watercolors dry lighter than when they're wet. And there's probably, maybe there's some reflected color in this, right? From all the fun things we have going on here. So let's try to get, oh, it just sounded like Bob Ross. Some happy colors in there, yeah? And the bristles. And let's add a little more shadow color to the pencil. And maybe that can be brown with a pinch more orange than you think it is, just so it's a little more exciting, right? And those are just puddles of color on there. So I'm just gonna take the clean, dry tip of the brush and just mess it up a little bit. All right. So now I'm getting a little bit of blue, and that is way too intense to do the number 4 on the brush. And I'm testing it again. Yeah, that's all right. Okay. And that, can you see if you can see that? But that looks a little bit too much, and that's going to dry a little lighter, but I am going to dab that a little bit. That's way too much, so I'm going to go back in and add some more. but maybe just a little bit. And as I touch it with my brush, the color comes out of the brush into where it's wet. And maybe we'll do that there. I'll show you something here. We're going to do a little fun stuff here. Spray bottle. So I'm going to spray it here. And that's very wet. I'm spreading it around just so it's, and I want to. And then I'm going to dry it along my frame. So this is wet in wet technique. This is how you can do, well, everything. That's one of the great things about watercolor. You can do this, and then you can add, let me back up. You can really add, like for skies, this is a great thing for skies, technique for doing that. So I'm just mixing the colors I have on my palette to like just a dirty color, and I'm just putting it in so I have something going on over there. But you can see that's going to be soft, and then I can go in and add more water and really soften it. And it's going to stop where the water is. So there's a line of water, it stops right here, and you can see that it's already doing it. And what you can do is you have a bead of water forming there, but you can go in and grab an edge of your paper towel like this, and if you just run it along there, that'll soak up that water. One, so if you have, it's a big vertical and you don't want that to get on the rest of it or whatever, you can do that. And now I'm dabbing it just a little bit in the water so it softens and it's not a hard edge. And I'm going to see if I can clean that up. Okay. Alright, so let's get, this is going to be kind of neat, the shadows from the paper, and from the watercolor palette. And it's just a little bit. So I have this going over the edge of the palette, I did it, and the paper. So it made the edge darker, and it made the shadow on the paper. So I think that worked out well. And now I'm going to use some of that brown gray that I used before. Let's test it, see that's way too dark. So let's lighten that up a little bit, that should be fine. And now I'm going to do that along the paper here. So this one is here. And yeah, I have a whole bunch of light sources here, don't I? So I have a clean brush here, and I'm just softening that edge. And now I'm going to go in and do it there. And then I'm going to grab some of the gray. And that might be too gray. So I'm going to add a little water to it. And then I'm going to dab that with my paper towel in just a minute. Okay. To make it lighter. And I'm not going to go all the way over here because the light source for the pencils and the brush are going this way. So I have to add that over there. Make sure it's going the right way. Where I do have a couple light sources on this for the video, so that's what I'm doing. Test my color, good. And I don't want those that sharp. So I'm just softening them with the brush and then a quick hiya. And now I'm just, ooh, too much blue there. Go in and add the brown to it. The brown again with the blue, because I want a little more interesting black. Yep, and that will be right there. All right, and I think that's it. There we are. Hope you enjoyed this demo. Please share what you've created, because I'd love to see it. And to let us know what your thoughts, and if you don't have a subscription, please go check us out. We work really hard trying to get you the best stuff we can and try to develop these lessons for you so you can learn something, and you don't have to, of course. You can just enjoy the supplies for what they are, and yeah, just have a great time. So until next time, be sure to smile, create, repeat.